Hello Dr. Asang. Today me, Shahir binti Muhammad Hanif, and other friends of mine, Cairo Nisa, Aurelia, Eva, Farisa Hanis, and Fadlin is going to present you our topic, which is bullying in school settings. Let's get started. So what is bullying? Well, according to American Psychological Association, bullying is a form of aggressive behavior in which someone repeatedly and have the intention to cause another person discomfort or injury. Bullying affects 84% of children under 18 in Malaysia, and there were more than 14,000 cases of bullying in school, and most of them involving physical bullying. There are 4 types of bullying, which is physical bullying, verbal bullying, social bullying, and cyberbullying. Now let's take a look at each one of them. Physical bullying, or the most common type of bullying, actually includes pinching, kicking, hitting, tripping, and pushing or damage property. Victim may experience both short-term and long-term damage. When it comes to verbal bullying, this can occur on its own or in conjunction with other forms of bullying. This type of bullying are done on purpose to demean or degrade the victim in some way, and this includes name-calling, taunting, and threats. Now, social bullying is repeated behaviors such as social exclusion, spreading rumor, mean stares, and threats to end friendship, which intentionally damage a victim's social status and self-esteem. The last one is cyberbullying, and this is bullying with the use of digital technologies. This can take place on messaging platforms, mobile phones, gaming platforms, and social media. So, what makes bullying happen in school? Alright everyone, please remember that bullying behavior is influenced by multiple relationships with families, peers, teachers, neighbors, and ecology. It is not the result of individual characteristics. And do bear in mind that individuals who have been bullied in the past are more likely to bully others in the future. Other than that, we have peer pressure, wanting to gain popularity, to have a sense of power, and prejudice, and they're all associated on why bullying happens in school.
Next, I will be talking about theories that are related to bullying. The first theory is social cognitive theory. Social cognitive theory presumes that learning occurs in a social context with a dynamic and reciprocal interaction between person, environment, and behavior. It puts an emphasis on the social influence as well as external and internal social reinforcement. This theory considers the way in which individuals acquire and maintain a particular behavior, and the social environment in which individuals perform the behavior, while also considering a person's prior experiences, which will determine whether a behavioral action will occur or not. These past experiences will then influence reinforcement, expectation, and expectancy, all of which will shape whether a person will engage in a specific behavior and the reason why the person engaged in that particular behavior. So, how does this theory relate to bullying? As mentioned earlier, the social cognitive theory assumes that people learn within the interaction of a person, environment, and behavior. So, behavioral acquisition or adaptation always comes from learning and observation. The social cognitive theory also asserts that individuals observe the behaviors of others and subsequently will reproduce the same actions. It has also been shown in past researches that past victims of bullying are more likely to bully others in the future. Victimization experience was found to exert a very strong positive impact on the likelihood to perform bullying behaviors towards others. Individuals that have been bullied before may have learned such negative behavior from their experience of being victims. Exposure to violence from different channels, like cyberbullying, might also lessen their perception of the negative consequences of aggressive behaviors. Thus, this would lower their inhibition in performing such behaviors towards others.
Next, the second theory is the social cognitive theory of aggression by Albert Bandura. As we all know, bullying is an unwanted behavior that involves aggression. According to psychology, aggression refers to behavior between members of the same species that is intended to cause pain or harm. Next, physical, mental, and verbal are forms of different types of aggression. First and foremost, what we need to know about social learning theory is that people can learn through observation, and mental states are important to learning. Therefore, learning does not necessarily lead to behavioral change. So everyone, what is it that can cause children to act in aggression and bullying? This social cognitive theory is a way of learning through observation, imitation, and modeling another person or role model. So, who do you look up to? Who is your role model? Have you ever observed a behavior that you have then copied? Children also learn and observe from role models. For instance, at home, they learn from their family, and at school, they learn from other children. And they can also learn from the media, ranging from TV, films, and also games. These children learn which behaviors are worth repeating. They have a mental representation of events they observe and can anticipate reward as well as punishment. Moreover, social learning theory of aggression can be learned through direct reward. An example is when a father buys his son a cake after he wins a fight. And secondly, it can be learned through observing others being rewarded for aggressiveness. For instance, when a movie character wins the girl of his dreams as a result of abusing other people. Albert Bandura developed his theory through this Bobo doll experiment where he exposed children to aggressive and non-aggressive model behavior. Thereafter, he found out that children exposed to the aggressive model behavior were more likely to act in physically aggressive ways than those who were not exposed to the aggressive model behavior. In short, aggression is a learned behavior, not an inbuilt instinct. Therefore, this theory can be related to the acts of bullying, as children are constantly bound to copy the acts of whom they observe.
Bullying is a serious concern in Malaysia. The Malaysia Crime Prevention Foundation noted that 84% of students have been affected by bullying in some way or another. From the year 2012 to 2015, about 14,000 bullying cases were reported to the Ministry of Education, mostly involving physical bullying. In more recent news, the Education Ministry reported that from January to September 2020, bullying cases in schools have greatly dropped to 0.04% compared to the 0.12% reported in the same period in 2019. However, this value cannot be taken at face because schools began closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic last year. But before school starts closing last year, June, a 17-year-old secondary school student committed suicide after receiving constant bullying for refusing to join his bully's secret gang. This is a very common theme in school bullying. Unfortunately, bullying does not stop when one graduates from high school. A proof is the case of Zul Farhan, a military college student who was severely burned with a steam iron and beaten before succumbing to his injuries more than a week later. In this pandemic, we are progressing to a more digital way of life, becoming more susceptible to cyberbullying. As of 2018, Malaysia ranked second in the list of Asian countries with highest number of cyberbullying cases, a major source of concern in this digital age. In a survey by IPSOS, 1 in 4 Malaysian parents said that their child have experienced cyberbullying. IPSOS further stated that a quarter of their adult respondents have never heard of online bullying, which is a serious issue of concern. Many cyberbullying cases go unreported because people assume that since it is not physical, they cannot complain. At present, there is no specific law that pertains to cyberbullying, but it is in words. Hence, it is important to educate children of the dangers of the internet to help them steer away from red flags. Some initiatives to prevent bullying from happening in schools is the hashtag Stand Together campaign by Star Media Group and Rage, partnering with UNICEF and Ministry of Education. It attempts to counter bullying with kindness to break the cycle of violence. Another campaign by UNICEF is the #EndViolence campaign, which is a global initiative that works with various government and non-government organizations to protect children who are affected by domestic, school, and sexual violence.
Bullying happens everywhere across the globe, and sadly, it also happens within the school and as early as in elementary school. There are many types of bullies, but here are some of the common types across the world. First is hurting others by physical attacks, such as hitting, kicking, shoving around or locking students indoors. Second is leaving out someone of activities on purpose or ignoring them. Third is bullying by making fun with sexual jokes, comments, or gesture. Fourth is cyberbullying by taking or sharing photos among students. And fifth, cyberbullying by sending or spreading messages among students. Not only that, children who are perceived to be different in any way are more likely to be bullied. According to the UNESCO's Policy Dialogue on Bullying and Learning in 2019, international surveys revealed that physical appearance is the most common reason for being bullied reported by students by 15.3%. Race, nationality, or skin color is the most frequent reason for bullying reported by students by 10.9%. Compared to other reasons, religion is mentioned by far fewer students as a reason for being bullied by 4.6%. The socioeconomic disadvantage is associated with an at-risk of bullying. Immigrant children are more likely to be bullied than their native-born peers, and many studies show that students perceived as not conforming to norms, such as boys seen as feminine and girls seen as too masculine, are more at risk of school bullying than those who fit in traditional gender norms. In Japan, the public emphasis on physical aggression followed by neglect, economic maltreatment, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, blame, and physical abuse. And these norms of mistreatment have been seen in immigrant contexts. In Korea, Japan, and Malaysia, more than 15% of students had never been victims of bullying in school, but only in the Philippines, but the rate is low with only 15%. On the other hand, only few students reported having experienced more than one type of bullying problem in schools. In 7 Asia-Pacific countries, only 2 to 7% of students experienced 4 or 5 types of bullying. In Australia, 8.5%, and in New Zealand, 9.3%. The rates were a little higher, but in the Philippines, more than 16% of students had experiences of 4 or 5 types of harassment by bullies. Asia-Pacific countries have similar cultural societal concept, tradition, and experiences. In educational research field, it was especially valuable to compare teachers, students, and school environments among these countries, and discussion of this result can promote communication, collaboration, and development within the region.
Let's take a look at the effects of bullying on victim. So, there are 2 types of psychosocial consequences of being bullied. The first one is internalizing symptoms, and the second one is externalizing symptoms. Internalizing symptoms includes depression, anxiety, fear, and withdrawal from social contexts. Externalizing symptoms usually reflects behavior that is typically directed towards others, and this includes anger, aggression, conduct problem, tendency to involve in risky and impulsive behavior, criminal behavior, and substance abuse. So, what can we do to prevent bullying from happening in school? If you are the witness or you happen to be the victim of bullying, please report it to your parents, teacher, and counselor. However, if you don't feel comfortable and you are just too afraid to speak out, please remember that there are several helplines that you can call to. And with that, I guess that is all from us for today. Thank you for spending your time. Remember to always stay safe and have a nice day, everyone.